Yeah, what's like a specific demographic of cannabis users that a lot of people tend to neglect?
I feel like people over 40 get neglected a lot because we chase pop culture in so many ways, and that's not who we think about, that we forget that the people who have consistent money are typically over 40. Most people who are under 40 are broke. So if we're thinking about, and then even also that's a very underserved community too, like senior citizens and, things like that. Why are we not paying more attention to people who might be home the majority of the day or may need these things for medicinal reasons and a lot of other reasons? That's just a group that there's just not enough attention to.
Hey yo, he put free money where the mic is. He got it on lock like Rikers. Green rebates get you paid, so a lot of people like us. Money Talks Podcast, watch it on all your devices. Woo!
Welcome back to the Money Talks Podcast. I am here with the one and only Brandon Matthews from ShowOff Marketing. You literally just got the Nican 5 minutes ago, and you're being bombarded. How you feeling, man?
Oh, it's good, man. It's always good to be in this environment, meeting some companies, meeting people who are new to town, kind of helping them navigate the space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always a good time being here.
Nice. How did you kind of find your way into the cannabis industry?
I'm predominantly from a music background. That is how I started. So obviously, music and cannabis are, pretty much in the same spaces. So when I was, started, looking at cannabis companies and their ability to operate in the market, I started to, wanting to bring the cannabis companies in with the music and giving them the same opportunities that we do with the music companies. Right. So, helping them get out in the streets, helping them get on the blogs, radio, all the different things to help them expose themselves to the communities.
Right. And how important is for music and for independent artists getting promo and marketing themselves? It's such an underrated skill. Are you translating the skills it takes to market music to the skills it takes to market cannabis?
We're doing a little bit of synergy.
Right.
A lot of what we're doing is kind of teaching a lot of the cannabis companies how to market in those ways. We come from a very aggressive background of marketing, so sometimes cannabis companies aren't as comfortable, going as hard. So we're trying to show them that there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that they haven't taken advantage of yet or haven't had access to, and helping them get to those spaces in a more trusted manner. Nice. But it really is about just kind of, outworking everybody too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go against what we were taught, which is essentially the one who works the hardest is the one who stays the longest. So, you got to put that energy out there.
Right. And what makes what makes the Massachusetts cannabis scene special and unique from other states?
I think the Massachusetts scene is a scene where it's heavily regulated, so a lot of people feel that it's really hard to do things, but once the companies see how many opportunities that there are that they can take advantage of, it's a lot more open than it appears. I don't think enough companies have enough access to the music scene or a lot of cultural groups or even youth media. You know what I mean? That should. There aren't enough people utilizing podcast space. There aren't a lot of people utilizing the content creator space or the influencer space. And there definitely aren't as many utilizing just the direct business to consumer space. Something as small as just handing out flyers in places, which will never go away as much as we think that in the digital age. It hasn't gone anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I just think that companies need to just do a little bit better of understanding what exists in the world, and I think it'll make their interaction a lot easier.
Are you seeing a lot of musicians partner with specific cannabis brands and vice versa?
Not specific. I think everyone's still in the space of looking for each other. You have some cannabis, some people in music who are a little bit more connected in cannabis, so they have a direct contact, but some of them are still kind of wildly looking at who to talk to, and they don't necessarily know if it's a good opportunity to work for a brand or to work with a dispensary or any other types of businesses, and vice versa. Also, the brands don't know who to speak to as well. Because so much of this is new. It's not new, but it is new to a lot of people. So how is a new platform like yourselves going to know what artist has good enough business not to take your money and run,
right,
versus give you what they say they're going to do? And I've experienced both, the artist that has over-delivered and the artist that has under-delivered. So I understand the hesitancy doing that.
Right. So when you first talk to an artist or even a cannabis brand, and they ask you for advice on getting themselves out there, I don't even know where to start. What's the first piece of advice you'd give to a new cannabis brand?
Study your neighborhood. And especially if you're a dispensary, you need to look at the consumers who are around you every day. Stop worrying about all the cool areas and the cool kids, and worry about the person that's right across the street or the person that's right around the corner. There's not enough attention to who's around you because there's so much attention of everything else that's going on, and we sometimes forget that yes, I want to be in this cool place across town, but there's a tremendous amount of money that's right behind that we're not even paying attention to. Looking at youth groups or older groups or moms groups or just simple things like that. We're just overlooking a lot.
Yeah, what's like a specific demographic of cannabis users that a lot of people tend to neglect?
I feel like people over 40 get neglected a lot because we chase pop culture in so many ways, and that's not who we think about, that we forget that the people who have consistent money are typically over 40. Most people who are under 40 are broke. So if we're thinking about, and then even also that's a very underserved community too, like senior citizens and, things like that. Why are we not paying more attention to people who might be home the majority of the day or may need these things for medicinal reasons and a lot of other reasons? That's just a group that there's just not enough attention to.
And let's talk about music marketing. What's like the main, I know like music marketing, it's all TikTok, it's short form content right now. What's like the main frustration to artists you've worked with? What's like their biggest frustration with marketing music in 2026?
TikTok and all those things have been great, but the biggest frustration that they have, and it's showing up now, is that they lost their connection to the consumer. So a few years ago, radio was irrelevant to them, and physical CDs and vinyl was irrelevant to them. Vinyl is $1 billion industry. Record players, you can go in Target and buy a record player. Right. So, ignoring physical media is something that people have ignored that has become a really strong thing as a revenue stream. Creating experiences for your consumers was something that was lost for a very long time, that we're seeing people like J. Cole and a lot of others that are creating those intimate experiences that are creating these massive, massive audiences becoming from it. So it's like a lot of the older ways of doing business, a lot of that business to consumer relationship has now had to be rekindled because between COVID and the lack of connection via the internet, people need connection again, and they want connection to their favorite artists. Right. They've been oversold, they've been spoon-fed, and now people have their own opinions of who they want to interact with. And the person that gives them the best experience is the one that's going to win.
Right. And people don't understand that selling 10 vinyls is the same as getting 100,000 streams on Spotify. So just find like the core fans. And then, so why is it an event like NECANN? Why is it important for like new brands or just existing brands to go to and pop up and have a booth at?
So, from my personal opinion, NECANN is impactful for brands. So one, the companies that want to come here can get a better lay of the land of what's here and who's here. But then it also gives them an understanding from companies that are already here what to expect.
Right.
And then I also like that the new companies that come here create this sense of urgency for the other companies that someone's coming for their spot. I love the fact of new energy and how much new energy comes into a city like Boston because we have such a recycled market. You know what I mean? And the people, change so frequently. So you can't say, oh, I was the best award winner 3 years ago. We got a new population since then. You got to let somebody else know that just started living here what you did in order for that to mean something, because what happened in 2000 doesn't mean anything in 2026.
Yeah, it's crazy. And how collaborative are like cannabis brands or just people in Boston? Does it feel more competitive than collaborative, or have people understood that like working together is how we all win?
I think on the outside it has been more competitive here. And again, it goes back to what's been offered. So I don't think that the opportunities of enough collaboration has presented itself. Right. Specifically like with us, our big mission specifically for 2026 is to bridge more music companies with cannabis companies so that they have an easier opportunity to do sponsorships and find ways to do partnerships versus kind of blindly looking, on the internet and stuff. You know what I mean? But those rooms have to still be created in more than just one company. There needs to be more opportunities for that.
Right. And you've thrown a lot of live events in the city, right?
89 in the last 3 years.
89 live events.
Yep.
Wow. Why? How impactful has that been for your brand and your business?
For me, it's given me a lot of access to move my clientele around, but it's given me a lot of understanding from dealing with so many companies what's needed in the market for marketing. You know, I understand that the difference what a dispensary needs over what a brand needs, and it allows me to look at some of the other companies that I work with and see what rooms that I can build to better serve those companies as they're in there.
Right. And it's great networking opportunities. What advice would you give to someone who's like new at networking and they know that networking is important, but they're not good at it? Because a lot of people are like, man, I suck at talking to people, or man, I'm such an introvert, but I know I need to go to these events.
I'll keep it simple. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You know, you can have all the ambition in the world, but if no one knows what you're trying to do, no one's going to catch it.
Absolutely.
So the person who comes in here and has a conversation with everybody in the room is probably going to be the person that walks out of here feeling great about what happened. The person that came in here and spoke to 3 people, the response might be, it was okay.
Yeah.
You know?
What's interesting is across the country, everyone like talks and like Boston culture lives in the zeitgeist with like movies, with comedians. The personalities are so unique. Why do you think that is? Why are Boston people so unique and so like revered?
I actually don't know. I'm actually not originally from Boston. I'm originally from the Midwest.
Oh, nice.
But what I will say is Boston is a unique place because you have to have a thick skin to be here and to live here and to work here. It is a really corporately run area with a lot of people who are very passionate about what they're into, specifically in the sports space. Come here and violate if you want to. Consequences are yours. You know what I mean? But, you know, Boston's just a place where you really do have to be on point too. You can't come to Boston and, you know, not be good at your job. You'll get weeded out very quickly. So, you know, for the ones who come here and they come here and they leave quickly, you know what time it is.
Love it. And what makes you excited about the future of cannabis in Boston or Massachusetts?
For me, I like new challenges. So one of the things that attracted me to cannabis was the challenge. And so just to see where it's going to go, you know, and where it can go, and in Boston being an innovative place, or just Massachusetts in general being an innovative place, that is a thing that where now these companies can grow with it. You know what I mean? And who knows where it's going to be in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it's like, and there's so many colleges and there's so many genius minds in Boston. Does that translate to an industry like cannabis?
I mean, everything can. You know, that's essentially, you're in the breeding ground of future talent on all realms. Technology, retail, you know, you could think of any industry. We're the biggest college market in the world. So realistically, there should be no trouble finding talent for whatever you have going forward right around the corner.
Right, that's awesome. Well, where can people want to learn more about your business? Or yeah, let's talk about like kind of a day in the life of you as a businessman.
Day in the life of me is getting up every day, looking at what companies are coming to town, doing my research, figuring out ways that I can, you know, put together a pitch or find a way to collect them with, you know, certain things that they need, and, you know, building long-term business. You know, I've had the fortunate opportunity of being a connector in this city for over 20 years. So, you know, it's afforded me a lot of luxuries in regards to being able to move in spaces, which ultimately has made a lot of the companies that I've worked with, you know, be able to benefit from that because it makes it easier for them to also be able to navigate the space as well.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I pride myself on, you know, being a person that if a company wants to work with us, it makes it a lot easier for them to be able to go and do things, you know what I'm saying, being, you know, around.
Nice. And, you know, this is the Money Talks podcast, and we love talking about scaling businesses. What's like a mistake you see a lot of businesses make when they first start really growing?
On the cannabis businesses or just business in general?
Well, yeah, we could say cannabis business, yeah.
A lot of them thinking that weed sells itself. I get it. Some of us grow great stuff. You still have to do marketing. You still have to pay attention to the people around you. You can have the best weed on planet Earth, but if no one knows you exist, and if your employees are terrible in the business and things of that nature, it doesn't matter.
Right. Do a lot of people overlook marketing or think it's just an expense that's unnecessary?
Yes, I've talked to more businesses that don't even have marketing departments.
That's crazy.
Which is insane, but I also understand a lot of them are new. So as they're developing, those are things that they have to build down the line. So for me, I look at it as, okay, that just means that they're not dealing with enough agencies, they're not dealing with enough marketing, so their promotional opportunities are pretty much really limited because they don't have a person that's in there every day trying to create that. They're probably spending more time trying to sell the product.
Right. Thanks so much for sitting down.
I appreciate it.
And if people want to learn more about like your services, the live events, where can they find you?
They can find me at killerboombox.com, or they can hit up my our socials across the board. Bedlam _ShowOff. It's BEDLAM_ShowOff.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right.
Man. That was awesome.
Yeah, I just wrote a rebate check. 500K, call free money. You can change your life in a day.